Alright, so hello and welcome to another Android Studio tutorial, where in this video I'll be showing you how to create a biometric authentication scanner. And essentially you can just put your fingerprint on wherever the scanner is located on your phone, and it will authenticate it and take you to the next page if your fingerprint is approved. And make sure your phone is running at least on Pi. I believe you need to make sure that your phone actually has the hardware to run the fingerprint scanner, so make sure you have that first. But let's get started by going to our manifest file and adding this user's permission use biometric. And right after that we can go to our res file and go to our activity main.xml. And here essentially I'm just going to add a button, and I'm going to name it, I'm going to give it an ID of button authentication. I'm going to change the text to authenticate. And yeah, that's actually all you need to do there. Next we're going to go and create a new empty activity. So right under the Java files you can find an empty activity class, and I just named it secret activity. And in here we're going to edit the XML just to include a text view, which is going to include the word secret page, just so people know that once you authenticate it, it takes you to the secret page. But you don't have to do this, you can make it authenticate any page you want. But right after that we can go to our main activity and we can add this private function, which is going to be called notify user, and it's just going to make it easy to add toasts everywhere. So then after you add that toast, we are going to go straight to the top of our main activity file, and we're going to write private var cancellation signal, and it's going to be of type cancellation signal. We're going to assign that to null. Then we're going to add a private val of authentication callback, and this is going to extend biometric prompts authentication callback. We're going to add a getter, which is going to be an object which extends biometric prompts authentication callback. And inside here we are going to implement a few methods. One's going to be on authentication error, and it's just going to notify the user that something went wrong, and it's going to give you the error code. And then we're going to write on authentication succeeded, and here we're going to add a toast, which is going to notify the user that the authentication was a success, and we are going to start our activity that takes us to our secret page and shows our user the secret text. Then we'll go to our onCreate method and add a check biometric support method, which we will write down here under notify user. It's going to be private function check biometric support. It's going to return a boolean. Then we're going to write a value of key guard manager, and that's going to get system service of the context of key guard service as key guard manager. And right under we're going to check if they actually have some sort of pin code enabled, or if any of this is actually enabled. So if it's not enabled, it will return a toast, which is fingerprint authentication has not been enabled in the settings. And right under we're going to do something similar, which is going to check whether the use of biometric permission is enabled. If it's not enabled, it's going to say fingerprint authentication permission is not enabled, and they still can't use it. Otherwise we're going to return if our package manager has the system feature package manager.feature fingerprints, we will return true, else it's going to be true, so we can just use it. And this is a very indispensable check that you must perform to make sure everything runs smoothly. But right after that we can write a private function of get cancellation signal, and it's going to return a cancellation signal. So we're going to write cancellation signal is equal to cancellation signal, and cancellation signal.set on cancel listener. It's going to notify the user that the authentication was cancelled by the user, and it's going to return our cancellation signal. And this is going to be used for the cancel dialog. And then inside here we're going to add a button, which is going to be called button underscore authenticate.set on click listener. And inside there we'll write a value of biometric prompt, and we're going to equal that to biometric prompt.builder, and we're going to give the context of this. And right after that we can set a title, which can be any title you like. For sample purposes I just use title of prompts, kind of boring, I know. Then we're going to add a subtitle, and it's going to be authentication is required, and we are going to set a description to tell them why they should use their fingerprint. So this app uses fingerprint protection. And then finally set the negative button, you set the text, you add a this.main executor, and you add a dialog interface on click listener, which is going to notify the user if they click the cancel button, but you can replace that with whatever kind of method you want. And we're going to write .build, and at the bottom biometric prompt.authenticate, get cancellation signal, and we're going to use our main executor for this, and finally authentication callback. And that's all you need to create a fingerprint scanner or a biometric authentication scanner. And also if you fail the code several times, it's going to give you a timeout, so you can't really use it anymore. And yeah, actually that's, I believe, the simplest way to use the scanner. But thanks for watching, and see you in another video.